if left as it is?
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Yeah. See, you see, you see, it is just so funny that my words are being proven day by day and day and day in and day out, right? That really and truly, the Maplewood Township Committee doesn't seem to me to be serious about working to the best interests of the residents of this community, more than to the residents of the developers, and giving them tax abatements and giving them pilots. And just now they're going to give them airplanes as well.
Don't say that.
If you give them a pilot, you might as well give them the airplane.
Give them the plane, too.
Give them a plane, too.
And all the passengers.
Yeah. No, well, they already got passengers. All the residents are passengers. You give them a pilot. Next, we're going to give them a plane.
Listen, this doesn't sound right. So it said, we are asking to introduce the budget as it is now with the increase, with the proviso, however you say that, that we will work to decrease and find ways if there are any ways. Administrator Joseph Manning said at the meeting, it's going to be a tough year. Township officials said one of the budget cost hits is $410,000 pension charge that was not done in previous years, adding that the township also lost a sewer charge for Maplewood Beverage Packers, which had its payment shifted to Irvington. The committee agreed to introduce the budget as it is at the next meeting, but seek to find ways to cut the deficit through either cost cuts or revenue sources. There are lots of ways to get where we want, and they're not pleasant, DeLuca said. It's going to be a hold your nose and introduce the budget.
They're jokers. I'm sorry to say. I keep saying to you that if the trustees of the Maplewood Township Committee will seriously sit down and decide that maybe they do. Maybe they sit down and seriously decide that they're working for the residents of Maplewood. But at the end of the day, do they truly have our benefits at hand? Do they?
Here you were talking about critical thinking before we got on the air. So maybe no one's critically questioning what's going on.
They're not.
I mean, this is not. You can't be living paycheck to paycheck.
5.6%, man.
That somewhere, rather than giving all these businesses these cuts,
pilots, tax abatement, 30-year pilot, 30-year abatement, you pay 5% this year, you pay 10%. Let them pay the commercial, let them pay the taxes. Let them pay the taxes. If they pay the taxes, we're not going to have to worry about this $700,000. We're not. Because they're going to have to pay. But you want to bring them in here and give them, it's open sesame. What they call it, open sepulcher?
I've heard of open season, and it seems like it's open season on the tax.
Yeah, I say open sesame. It's open sesame. 5.6%. Listen, I was just talking about it Monday, right? Here we go. And what did I say they were? I forgot the word that I used. What was the word that I used again? And you will tell me why I should run? Sanctimonial. So you now listen to this. If I'm sitting on a township committee, right, and I'm going to see a budget with the possibility of a 5% tax increase, I'm going to say, guys, listen up. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. Before we even present that to the public, let's go back. And hey, listen, easy excuse. A $410,000 pension charge.
All right, so that takes me to this article. It says the Township Committee gave initial approval to a 30-year tax exemption plan for developers on the former PSE&G site on Boyden Avenue that will allow the developers, Avalon Bay, to pay portions of fees and taxes on the 235-unit project. All right, so
They're all in agreement that this developer should get that 30-year tax exemption. They're all in agreement.
the firm will provide a percentage of its annual gross revenue, which is revenue from insurance, operating, and maintenance expenses paid by tenants, according to an ordinance that will be heard on the first reading Tuesday night. It does not say that the annual gross revenue is estimated to be, what it's estimated to be, but it states that property produced $311,399.50 in property taxes would generate an estimated $616 in the first year after the project is completed. Under the proposed exemption, the firm would pay 10% of the average annual gross revenue, for the first 15 years, with property tax payments beginning in the 16th year, with just 10% of the taxes paid along with the annual gross revenue percentage. Property taxes will increase by 20% every few years under the schedule below until the 30th year.
Why don't they just give them the land for free? Why don't they just give them this kitchen sink while they're at it?
The 235 unit will also include only 6 affordable housing units, but will require the firm to provide what is described a significant contribution.
Remember we talked about that?
Yes, affordable housing fund. I don't know. I'm going to assume that there's something I just don't understand. It can't be that simple. It just can't be. This wouldn't make sense.
It is not simple, but it's pretty easy. Okay? Maplewood decided that they wanted to get a developer in here in order to build these condominiums, apartments, whatever you want to call it. And in order to get them in here, Maplewood have to give them some incentives to come in and build. Right? And it's done all over. It's done all over. It's not just Maplewood.
Right.
So Maplewood tells them, instead of we putting you on the tax roll like regular residents, like we all in a tax roll and we pay X amount of taxes every year, and when the budget is read and the school district comes in, our tax may go up 2.5% as an example. Right? And we got to pay that regardless. These folks now, it's based on monies collected. So, for example, if the whole building is not filled, right, they don't have to pay any income taxes for those empty apartments.
Okay.
You see? But if you have a 4-bedroom house and you only occupying 1 bedroom, you still got to pay taxes for the other 3 bedrooms. They ain't telling you, well, Marjorie, we noticed that you only live in 1 bedroom or you only occupy 2 bedrooms. Since those other 2 bedrooms are empty and no one actually sleeps there, we're going to give you a tax abatement. So if your taxes is now $12,000, we're going to give you a reduction of $500 per room. This is what I understand when they talked about, the AGR, the aggregate gross revenue, right? Uh-huh. The aggregate gross revenue or the annual gross revenue is basically what you make from, whether it's rent, whatever, from the building, right? The firm will provide a percentage of its annual gross revenue or AGR, which is revenue from insurance, operating, and maintenance expenses paid by tenants, according to the ordinance that will be heard on the first reading Tuesday night. Yeah. So the income, you're going to pay based on the income. So the lower the income, the lower you're going to pay. So unless you have checks and balances that you know exactly how many people are in the condominiums or in the apartments, you don't know. I could underreport it. It's a racket. And you know who suffer? The residents of South Orange and Maplewood. In this instance, the residents of Maplewood. We all suffer. We don't get this kind of... I mean, this is like a hand. Under the proposed exemption, the firm will pay 10% of annual gross revenue for the first 15 years. Right? So from year 1 to year 15, whatever my gross revenue is, I'm going to pay 10%. How is Maplewood documenting, or how is Maplewood going to audit what is the actual gross revenue for the building? Do I just give you a statement and say, here it is. I have 10 apartments occupied. I have 20 apartments occupied. Here's the maintenance fee that they're paying. Here's whatever other fee that they're paying. We made $1 million this year. So I owe you $100,000. Here's your check for $100,000. While I really didn't make $1 million, I made $2 million. Critical thinking. Critical thinking.
You know, I don't know. I wish we could ask questions, but you seem to have pissed off the mayor, so he won't answer your question.
Yeah, because you know what?
Uh-oh, that's him calling.
Unfortunately, right? Those guys really and truly, they don't want people thinking outside the box to question them. They want those softball questions. You know, like in softball, right?
Right.
Softball is what the ladies play. I mean, they pitch really fast, though.
Some men play softball.
Yeah, some men play softball. Mm-hmm. But in for the kids, you toss the ball up nice and easy.
Underhand.
Underhand, and the kids try to smack it. Most of the times they miss it. But it's a soft toss. With me, the mayor said to me, you don't like me. I said, I don't like you. What does that have to do? I don't like you. And we want to cover a story. There's a story here.
Where?
That right? Because it's...
I thought you were going to make our poll a poll where you press a button. You didn't do that time.
On the website?
Yeah.
Oh, we can do that.
Okay.
That's no problem. But that was...
At any rate, yes.
That was a study that was done.
Right.
So, other guys can come in there and be even more aggressive than me. But when I go in there, Ansem doesn't like me. Why wouldn't I like him? I don't have nothing against Vic DeLuca. I really don't. I don't hold no grudges against him for anything. But
is that what he said to you?
He said I don't like him. But and when this stemmed from, when Fred Perfetta was mayor, and I kind of backed Fred Perfetta. So by me backing Fred Perfetta, I didn't like him. I was just a political decision. Didn't have to do with it. Wasn't anything personal.
No, but it's also like if you ask questions that people don't like, then you're either a troublemaker or something to that effect. That's just the way it is in society.
Yeah. So you support? Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. My son put it very well. I'm not a social conformist.
You keep using this social conformist
No, I'm not.
You like saying that.
Yeah, I like
you
that.
get stuck on these new words.
Yeah, because what it is, I think, and that's why today in class, right? The kids were talking about critical thinking, and that's normal. That's normal thinking. Critical thinking is that this is what one group came up with, man, and this was on the money. They were talking about diversity, right? And so they felt that when some